Today is 8/31/2024. Interviewer is Park Schmidt, CFO of Korea Zero Foundation. Interviewee is Alan Lee. Mr. Lee served in the ROK Army but did not fight in the Korean War. However, he did live through the war. And we are going to call him now. The time is right now 11:41, and Mr. Lee is being phoned in from Minneapolis, Minnesota. Hello, Mr. Lee.
Yes.
Hey, this is Park Schmidt. Did I catch you at a good time?
Yeah, I can talk.
Perfect. Just quickly, is it okay if I record this call? Just, for, posterity?
Great.
Yep.
That's fine.
Alright, perfect. Um, so, can we just start with a couple of, basic, biographical things?
Sure.
Could you state your name and, where you were born?
My name is. Do you want American name?
Uh, sure. Both are good.
I was born in 1941 as a Japanese citizen because Korea at the time was occupied by Japan. So, 1945, Korea became Korea after Japan surrendered. And then 1967, I came to America with a student visa, and I'm Korean name is in Korea. First family name comes first, so my Korean name is Lee Kon-shik, and when I became American citizen in 70s, early 70s, my name became Alan Kon-shik Lee, and I was born in 1941.
Where were you born?
I was born in Seoul, South Korea.
Oh, very interesting. My grandmother was born in, 1940 in Suwon.
Suwon, okay.
Um, who were your parents, and what were their occupations?
Well, my dad was a businessman, and we lived in outskirts of Seoul boundary.
Mm-hmm. And your mother?
My mother was housewife.
Did you have any siblings?
I'm one of six, three boys, three girls.
Did any of your brothers or sisters serve in the Korean military?
I served in Korean military. My brother did. My oldest brother, my two older siblings did.
Okay.
Korean Army.
How did your parents feel about all of you joining the military?
By the time I was drafted, my dad was gone, so I lost my dad when I was 8 years old.
I'm sorry to hear that.
What do you mean, how do they feel?
Was your mother proud or sad to see your brothers enter the military?
No, I don't know how she felt, but that was our duty. If you are born as a male in Korea at the time, even now I assume you are drafted.
Mm-hmm.
They're not voluntary.
So you said you came to America on a student visa. Where did you study, and what did you study?
Well, because of I at the time Korean student came here mostly from rich families, and as you can imagine, I lost my dad when I was 8 years old. My mother never remarried, so we were poor, but my oldest brother happened to see American soldiers. he was a young man at the time, and so one GI saw how nice Christian boy he was, and when he eventually came back to America, he became a teacher and lawyer, and he was in the law practice in St. Paul, Minnesota. He saw half dozen good Korean college professors, so he asked them that he told them he'd like to find my brother. So one of them happened to be a law professor in Seoul University, and he put an article in, I think it was Seoul daily newspaper, and my friend saw it, and that's how I got connected to Mr. Allen in Minnesota. So at the time, Korean government, at the time Korea was poor, so they only sent PhD students to America, and I was not a PhD candidate, so I tried, and I couldn't come because they wouldn't give me, American government wouldn't give me a visa, so I gave up. But after a couple of years, American Embassy in Seoul asked me to come to their office, so I did. Just a second. Get out. I told my wife I didn't want her interfering me, so anyway, so I tried and I couldn't come, so Mr. Allen apparently contacted Hubert Humphrey, who was the Minnesota person, and eventually he became a vice president of America. So he must contacted American embassy in Seoul, Korea. So the embassy asked me to come to the embassy, so I did go there. And they asked me, how do you know Hubert Humphrey? So I told them, who's Hubert Humphrey? So anyway, that's how I came to America.
Fascinating. And
who is a student visa.
So what did you end up studying in America?
So when I came to Twin Cities, Minneapolis, I wanted to go to University of Minnesota, and they told me I had to take a TOEFL test, which is an English test, which I did, and I flunked, so they wouldn't accept me. So because I lost my dad during the war, I graduated junior high, and my mother told me I couldn't go senior high because we couldn't afford tuition. My dad was gone, and we didn't know whether he was alive or not, so I started working during the day, and then I went to senior high school in Seoul. So I could pay the tuition. My mother couldn't afford tuition at the time. So anyway, I graduated ninth high school. That's why I didn't do very well in high school, and university wouldn't accept me, so I went to junior high school, junior college here, and I did not want to study anything, major anything fancy because I didn't do very well in high school in Korea, because I went night school 3 years, mainly to get my degree, high school diploma. So then I regretted a lot in America, and I eventually went to Milwaukee School of Engineering, and that's 2-year course, and I didn't graduate there either because I had to work to support myself. Mr. Allen, by the time either died or he did not help me financially at all. So eventually I also went to, I graduated to 3 different trade school, 2-year college, and I became a mechanic at Northwest Airlines. Eventually I became a Delta Airline. So I worked most of my life as a airplane mechanic. Now I'm
Interesting.
82, 83, and I'm retired.
Fascinating. So you said that you were, a young boy during the Korean War. Could you
Yeah.
tell me a little bit about what you remember from that period?
Well, my dad was gone. My mother didn't even know who took him, and so a lot of refugees from Northern Korea, their ladies became pretty. They had to go out, make earnings, all that. But my mother was just housewife in Seoul, so she was not that kind of woman that could do any business, any whatever. And so instead, she stayed home, and all of us, we went out, started making money, do whatever we could do, and that's why I ended up going night school. Junior high, I was very bright student, but senior high, I went night school.
Mm-hmm.
So junior high, I went day school, and anyway, so I regretted a lot. I did not study hard in senior high. So, what was your question?
Well, what were you doing during the day, during the war? Because you said you went to night school. What kind of
I
work
went to
did you find
night
during the
school.
day?
During the day, I did all kinds of anything I could do, but I went to mountain and gathered firewood so my mother cooked. And later on, I found the U.S. Army. They called it houseboy at the time. And I cleaned their barracks, and I made their bed, and I brought their laundry to the laundry shop. So I was what they call houseboy for 3 or 4 years.
Did you
And I
enjoy
went-
working for the Americans?
American soldiers.
Mm-hmm. Did you enjoy working for them?
I enjoy it. No, I rather go to school. I didn't enjoy it,
Mhm.
but I had to make money because Korean government was poor. They had right now. I don't think Korea is rich, so they don't. I don't know for sure. I came here 67, but I assume everybody goes to school, mandatory, at least 12 years. But when I was during the war, we didn't have to go to school if we couldn't afford it. But so I went to normal school up to junior high, and then senior high I went to a full-time job. We call it houseboy for U.S. soldiers. And then I went to night school.
Mm-hmm.
So after I came to America, I regretted that I had to go to night school because I was an honor student up to junior high, but senior high I just went to school to get the high school diploma, so I didn't do very well. That's why I had a hard time. I couldn't go to engineering school because my trigonometry was not good. In order to go to engineering, you have to know trigonometry.
Mm-hmm.
So algebra, all that, I went to state school, junior high, so I was fairly good. I was an honor student. But senior high, I worked all day. I went to high school just to get my high school diploma, which really made me struggle in going college in America. So that's why ended up going. I tried many colleges, but I didn't want to major English, anything like that. I only wanted to major engineering, but I didn't do well in high school in Korea's trigonometry, so I ended up going to trade school. So I went to tool and die, and then aviation something, and CNC. So I went three trade school, got trade school diploma, and worked for Northwest Airlines and Delta all my life. That's my story.
Do you remember any of the Americans that you worked for in Korea?
I remember, but I don't remember their names or anything.
Do you remember any interactions you had with them? Any specific ones?
No. They just did their duty during the day, and when I went to work for them, I cleaned up their barracks. They call it barracks.
Mm-hmm.
And I made their beds, and I shined their boots. I brought dirty laundry to the laundry shop and picked up clean laundry, gave it to them. No, I didn't do much. The pay was very low, and that's about it. We were very poor. Korea was very poor at the time. Right now, Korea is. I heard a news last week that Korean economy is passing Japan now. But when I was small, Korea was terrible.
Mm-hmm. What was your? How did you feel about the war? Both when the war initially began in June 1950 and when it ended in 1953.
I don't have much recollection because I was young. Well, all I remember was we were always hungry, and I wish we had a rich country, but what can you say? Korea was poor at the time. I don't know what Korea did well. I used to envy Philippines when I was young, junior high, but now Philippines is still back compared to Korea, so their college graduates come to Korea to work and become English teachers. Their Philippines was under American maybe colony or whatever, so their English was very good. Korean people, our English was terrible, so they come to Korea, teach high school kids English, and they to make money. When I visit Korea, which 2 days from now I'm visiting Korea again. As you might know, I retired from Delta, so I fly free until I die. So I go to Korea once a year, even now. So when I go to Korea, there are a lot of young people, just like Mexicans here, working for low-wage job. When I go to Korea, I see a little bit of restaurants and manual jobs.
Mm-hmm.
Some people don't look like Korean to me, so excuse me. I asked them, Korean people, and then they smiled. They said, "Oh, they are from Han country." I said, "What's Han country?" To make money here from Han country, I said. Han country to them means Uzbekistan, Pakistan, Kyrgyzstan.
Mm-hmm.
That's we in Korea, the young people. Those people I asked told me they are from Han country. That means they are from third country.
Right.
To make money. So they are not Korean citizens, but they work in the kitchens and whatever Korean people used to do when Korea was poor. Korea is become a developed country now.
Mm-hmm.
Poland. I read
Mm-hmm.
So all the Polish government gave all their big jet fighter planes. They're MiG. MiG means made in Soviet Union. But Poland, after giving all their fighter jets, whatever, to Ukraine, because Ukraine is fighting against Russia, as you know, and they're buying Korean jets and Korean artillery and Korean tank and you name it from Korea, because their weapon is good but cheaper than buying American or Russia, England and Germany.
Mm-hmm.
So they are really Korean war machine making companies are making a lot of money lately.
Right.
That's what I read in the newspaper.
To go back to your military service, when did you serve in the Korean military?
When did I serve? I was drafted in, I don't know, 1960 or 61.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was born in 41, so 61 I was drafted 60 maybe, and then when I was drafted, the serving time was 36 months. But by the time I became served more than 2 years, they didn't need as many soldiers. So I spent 31 months for Korean Army.
And you served in the Army, right?
Korean Army, but American soldiers in South Korea, they need some Korean soldiers mixed with American soldiers. So I was elected to serve with U.S. soldiers. So there were 90. I'm just making up around 90, 95 American soldiers and 5, 10 Korean soldiers mixed together. So I only served 6 months in Korean Army, and then I went to U.S. We call it in Korea Katusha.
Mm-hmm.
That means I'm a Korean soldier, but I work and spend whole time in military life. I stayed with American soldiers until I got discharged.
Fascinating. Did you enjoy working with the American soldiers?
I wouldn't say enjoy. I didn't like military, so it was much better than Koreans, because Korean soldiers are very much tougher than U.S. Army, and
Right.
a lot more training, and the rule was tough. So I really enjoyed it because of that.
Mm-hmm.
Very few went back to Korean Army because they didn't like American food. But I didn't mind American food.
Right. Speaking of training, did you go to any military schools or anything like that?
I went to boot camp, South Korean Army boot camp, when I was drafted.
Mm-hmm.
So I spent, I don't remember, but roughly 3 months as a trainee. I wasn't at the soldier yet. And then when I graduated the boot camp, I was sent to long line signal company, 9 weeks training. After 9 or 12 weeks training, I was graduated and I was sent to Chungcheon, which is north of Seoul. I'm from Seoul, so 1 month or 2 months after I served there in Korean Army, there was a order to send 3 Korean soldiers to U.S. Army, so I volunteered and they picked me, and so altogether I served 3-4 months with the Korean Army, and then I served about 29 months with U.S. soldiers. So I liked it better because U.S. Army is more relaxed. They are not tough like Korean soldiers. Their training was much relaxed, and everything was not as tough as South Korean military, which we like. We don't. You're a soldier, so you want to get by it just easy, but the South Korean Army is not like that.
Right. And so you were a like a radio operator or a signalman or something like that?
No, before I became any good U.S. captain, the company commander,
Mm-hmm.
who was a West Point graduate captain, he picked me as his driver. So I drove company commander's jeep all night, 30 months in. We call it Katusha.
Right.
I don't know what that means, but
It stands for Korean augmentee to the United States Army or something like
Yeah.
that.
I was Katusha 30 months as a company commander's driver, jeep driver.
Did you like driving the Jeep?
Yeah, I was in a engineering company. We maintained the road, and 9 weeks I spent in Korean long line school, but I used none of that. I was supposed to be engineering company maintaining the military roads, all that, but I did none of that. I just drove mostly Jeep, and 8th Army in downtown Seoul was a non-combat outfit, but I was sent to Uljongbu, which is combat unit. So every year, coldest time of the year, which is around December, we went out 3 weeks. Since we were in an engineering company, we built a floating bridge. So by the time we got done the Han River floating bridge, 8th Army commander, which was a 2-star, 3-star general, would come out, look at it, and I was just a captain's driver, and what they test the bridge, the tank goes over across the Han River. So there was what we call floating bridge.
Mm-hmm. Sorry.
That's all I remember. Go ahead.
So what rank were you when you left military service?
I was a sergeant.
Okay.
I forgot they call it E5 or something.
Mm-hmm.
I was there are many stripes in sergeant. They all call it sergeant. I was lowest sergeant.
Gotcha. What was your favorite thing and least favorite thing about being in the Army?
Well, least favorite thing was when I was in Korean outfit, including the boot camp, all that. The rule was strict, and everything was strict, and the training was harder. But once I only spent 3-4 months in Korean outfit, but rest of the 28 months, 9 months, I was U.S. Army, and I was attached to U.S. Army. It was much relaxed and nicer.
Mm.
Everything was much nicer.
Are you involved with any veteran organizations, either in America or in Korea?
No, I'm not. in Korea, I would, until age, I don't know the Korean rule, but I'm making it up. Maybe until you're 40 or 50, you have to go. Before I came to America, they would draft me, no matter what kind of job I have, Korean government understands, because we have to go 1 week or I don't know, 1 week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks training, military training, but because I came to America, I did none of that.
Mm-hmm. When you left the Korean military and you went home, how did you feel? And what did you and your family do when you left the military?
By the time I got discharged and came home, before I came to America, I have an oldest brother who was like 10 years older than me, so he was the breadwinner of my family. We still didn't have father, but my mother never remarried, so we had my mother, and by the time I came home, I had two younger sisters and me, and my oldest brother was breadwinner, so he had a bicycle shop. That's all I remember.
Mm-hmm. Was it hard readjusting to being a civilian?
No.
No, you were ready to
get out of military.
yeah, you were ready to go. Looking back at your military service, do you think it was a good thing that you served, or do you think it was beneficial to you personally?
No, but it was Korean. As a Korean young man, you have to do your duty, because north of Seoul there's a North Korean always waiting to. Their ultimate goal was make whole Korean Peninsula as a communist country. But what was your question now?
If you felt that your military service was beneficial to you personally, whether that be schooling or any life lessons it might have taught you.
No, that was not beneficial to me at all. I just did as a citizen, I did my duty, military duty.
Mm-hmm.
None of it was beneficial to me. If you are a Korean man at the time, if you didn't go to military, they ask you what's wrong with you. Because if you're a crippled person, they don't draft you.
Right.
So what's wrong with you means what physically is not right with you. So everybody in South Korea, if you're a male, they draft you.
Mm-hmm. How did your military service impact your feelings about war and the military in general?
I never thought of anything what you're asking me. I had no special thought about it. I did my duty, and if you're a male in South Korea, young male, you do your duty. You're called by your nation, and you do your duty. And because we always thought capitalism was better than communism. So I was dutifully did my service. So that's about it. I didn't enjoy my military at all.
Right. My final question is, what message would you like to leave for the future generations who will hear your interview and read your interview?
Well, the people living in Korea now is very lucky, because I know how poor Korea was when I was 10 years old, 9 years old. Now they're just living in a rich country. They're very rich. When I go to Korea 2 days from now, it's just different world. During the war, right after the war, Korea was very poor, dirt poor. I don't know what they did right to become a rich country, but they are rich now.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I was 26 when I came here, and even then Korea was still poor. I mean, Korean people are very eager to get educated, including me. They are very hardworking people. So if you can, you do get all the education you can get. That's their mentality. Maybe that's why they are better off now than some other countries that are still struggling.
Right.
Korea don't have too much natural resources either. Some Arabian countries are rich because they got God blessed them with oil, but South Korea, all they have is bright people. They are willing to work hard.
Right. Well, I want to thank you, Mr. Lee, for speaking with me today about your military service and your experiences during the Korean War.
Yeah, as a Korean, I wanted to be a good American citizen, in which I worked hard all my life, and I own my own nice house, and by the way, my wife, we have been married over 50 years now, and she's mostly Scandinavian descent, which Minnesota has a lot of Scandinavian descendants. So as of 50-year anniversary, my wife and I went to, she wanted, instead of going Norway or Sweden, she wanted to go to Ireland. So 6 months ago, we went to Ireland trip to enjoy 10 days maybe.
Did you guys enjoy it?
Oh yeah.
I'm glad.
Yeah. There was we go to cruise once in a while, and I call it Korean kitchen. Downtown Minneapolis, there's one government building. They're all over the United States. They call it HUD, HUD. So, but it happened that many retired Korean elderly people live there. So I've been volunteering there as a dishwasher 2 days a week. I still go there 2 days a week, and as a dishwashing, but I call it dishwashing, but I do everything. I sharpen their knives, and when the one guy doesn't come to do some work, I empty garbages and all that. So I get busy myself.
Mm-hmm. You like keeping busy, right?
Oh yeah, I don't just sit around. Like I said, I'll be 83 in a couple of months, and I cut my own grass. Last year we started paying snowplow people, so you don't live in Minnesota, but here it snows a lot with the time.
Mm-hmm.
So I have an older brother living in Seattle, and he lived here for 25, 30 years, but he lives in Seattle now, but he doesn't like Minnesota cold winter, which I don't mind. So I have a good life. we go to church every Sunday. And
Did
my
you?
family,
Sorry, continue.
my family was Christian family, or even my some ancestors were Christian too. So I always went to church all my life.
Did you become a Christian in Korea or in America?
In Korea.
Was it like an army chaplain who baptized you, or were you just always a Christian?
No, I was born in Christian family, so
Fascinating.
after the war, there was a small church. I would call it church. It was house church.
Mm-hmm.
We gathered at the pastor's house, and a few years later, we built a small church. And when I go to Korea 2 days from now, I still visit that church. It's still there. The name used to be the Church of Nazarene, but right now it's I think it's different denomination. I don't know what denomination it is.
Oh.
So I became Christian as a young boy, but my mother went to church early in the morning every day of the year, just to pray and come home.
Mm-hmm.
Early means like 5 a.m.
Right.
That's how a lot of Korean churches do.
Mm-hmm. When you were in Korea, what denomination was the church?
The Church of Nazarene.
Do you remember what denomination it was?
I just told you, the Church of Nazarene.
Oh, okay. I got you now.
But now I go to Baptist church.
Gotcha.
There are a lot of Korean churches in Twin Cities, Minnesota, but because my wife doesn't understand Korean, I go to American church.
Mm-hmm.
But when we first got married, my wife went to Korean church with me, and she taught young Korean people to become Sunday school teachers. My wife was Korean church Sunday school teacher.
Well, it sounds like both of you truly found something that you enjoyed.
Yeah.
Again, I want to thank you, Mr. Lee, for taking the time to talk with me.
You're welcome. I'm sorry I couldn't tell you too much Korean war life. After I lost my father, we were fleeing to south because I'm from Seoul, which is 40 miles from PNG.
Right.
50 miles from. So while we were heading south, all we had was small things on our back, and
right.
We saw North Korean soldiers passing us, so we turned around, came back to Seoul.
My grandmother did the same thing.
Yeah.
Her family was from Suwon, and they fled south, but the first time they ran into North Korean soldiers, so they went back. And then the second time, American planes were dropping bombs nearby, and so they went back to Suwon again, and then they just stayed there for the war.
Yeah, when I lost my dad, we had 6 siblings, 6, including me. So my mother, we would starve to death. So my dad was only son of, but he had many sisters. So one of my aunts took me to make my one less mouth to feed for my mother. So I spent some time with my aunt's family. So when war was slowing down, I wanted to go home, so
Mm-hmm.
I went. I had to cross the Han River because my family is from north of Han River. Han River runs right through the cities, whole cities, like
Right.
Mississippi River here in Twin Cities.
Mm-hmm.
So winter time came and I went to the bridge in Han River Bridge, and there was no train, no bus, nothing, because the bridge was bombed out, the railroad track was bombed out. So I walked across the railroad bridge, Han River. So by the time I reached home, my mother was barely surviving with five kids. So
Mm-hmm.
we spent hungry lives for a while until the truce. Anyway, until the war was more or less over. It never is over. It's still officially still war.
Right.
So I've been struggling all my youth. Even I came here as a young man, I struggled to push myself to school, and as I told you earlier, I went to 3 trade schools, and I ended up Northwest Airlines and Delta Airlines. So that's my life.
Well, I appreciate.
My parents thought I was a bright young boy, and I wanted to become a medical doctor, but how could I? Because I didn't have money to go to school when I was in high school in Korea, and when I came here, all the students had a Korean government at the time in 60s. They would send undergraduate students to America because Korea didn't want to spend dollar, because Korean government needed a dollar, so they only sent PhDs.
Mm-hmm.
So I came here, even I came here as a student visa. It's a non-official student visa. I just came here because of Hubert Humphrey. So I struggled. When I came here, Mr. Allen died. He was sickly and he couldn't support me, so I worked my own way, and none of few Korean women students at the time. There were a lot more PhD students, so when none of them dated me, I was very heartbroken, but when I saw everything, what's going on, and I decided if I were a young Korean woman, why would I date any poor student like me? So I understood that. So I was just working hard every time I had, and somehow I ended up dating an American girl, and that's my wife now. So I just made it up story. If there were 10 young men PhD Korean students, 10 husband candidate, there were 1 Korean young student Korean ladies, so I had no chance. I was not PhD student.
Right. But it worked out in the end.
It worked out good because I have a happy life.
Right. And at the end of the day, that's what matters.
One girl I eyed on when I was single, she didn't have a happy marriage, because her younger sister married this guy that I am friend of. He was Korean guy. He was my best man in my wedding. He told me his wife's older sister. He said, my wife so and so. I say, yeah, you know her sister married Professor so and so. I say, yeah, I know her because I was just looking at her. She would make good wife to me, but she wouldn't even look at me at all because I was not a PhD student. So anyway, he told me he ended up very sad marriage because her husband, after PhD, he became an engineering professor in Michigan, and he was a drunk. He told me. So, well, that's the one story I heard.
Right.
I didn't become a professor or medical doctor, but I'm very blessed. We are helping many missionaries every month, and I got one son, two daughters, so 3 children, which is half Korean, but they all have a good jobs and good life, so we just support missionaries, and this one I don't know, I forgot as I get old, I forget a lot of words nowadays. What's the college name when you graduate, you become a pastor?
Seminary.
Seminary. My wife and I enjoy supporting this one seminary school in Twin Cities. It's a small school, but so that's how we serve the seminary and church.
Right.
That's my life.
Well, it's a great life. So, again, thank you so much for talking with me about your life and your service with the Korean Army.
You're welcome.
What I'm going to do after we hang up is I will send you a text message with the email for the Korea Zero Foundation, and what we would appreciate is if you might have some photographs from both back in the day, you know, in the '60s when you were in the army, and some recent ones, you know, from nowadays. And what we're gonna do is we're going to write a article about you and your service, and include some photos of you in that.
Okay. Have you ever been to Twin Cities?
No, sir.
Okay. There are a lot of small organizations in Twin Cities.
Mm-hmm.
There is Adopted Korean Children's Association and something like that. Oh, it's not daily newspaper, but it's a Korean quarterly.
Mm-hmm.
They publish newspaper 4 times a year in English, because I think mainly because some Korean adoptees who live in adoptees to America as orphans, they made up some kind of organization. So one group started publishing quarterly newspaper. So I used to enjoy it. Now I enjoyed it because I picked one up at the Korean Center. I call it Korean Center. It's not official name, but now I don't know why they don't have the newspaper at the Korean Center. I haven't seen it for more than a couple of years now. There are a lot lot of stories like Korean War stories, war bride stories, orphan stories, all that. How all kinds of stories, how Korea is developing and all that kind of. It's in English, so most Korean people here, younger Korean people maybe can read English, but older Korean people, they only speak Korean and read Korean, and they speak broken English, so they don't need that newspaper. I read both English and Korean, so anyway, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Have a great day, and I hope you enjoy your time in Korea.
Yeah, I will try. I go there to see my few Korean friends who are my age. They're all over 80 years old, and when I go to Seoul, where I was born, it's completely different. There's houses and houses, and I don't know. Have you ever been to Korea?
No, but I hope to one day.
Oh, anyway, they're very well. There's a very well established subway system in Korea. Very, very punctual and very clean and very cheap. If you're a Korean citizen, over 60 years old, it's free. But I'm not a Korean citizen, so I don't get that free pass. But very cheap.
Mm-hmm.
And you get on, you can go to Suwon easily, free.
Well, I appreciate that.
In Seoul, you go all underground, but before you reach Suwon, I have never been to Suwon, but if you reach Suwon, I get halfway there, the train comes up to above ground. They're very fast and very efficient and very clean and very cheap. It's unbelievable how advanced Korea is.
Oh, yeah.
I've been to subway in America. They're not that good. They're not clean. They're not nearly not as good because you can imagine they're very old compared to Korean subway. So anyway, I don't want to hold you too long.
No, you are completely all right. But yeah. Again, I'll send you a text message with our email and a little bit more information about the next steps with this interview. All right.
All right.
Perfect. Thank you again, Mr. Lee. I hope you have a great rest of your day and a great trip in Korea and seeing your friends.
Okay. You too. Have a good day.
Bye.